Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Today I'm gonna go over a children's book a little bit and discuss what I believe it tells us about monopolies and how they come about in differing ways and the true dangers of such things where we create a world without competition in industries. I think a lot can be learned from various works of literature. They're the absolute epitome of knowledge. I think that the smartest people write those things, and when they are successful, you know that it speaks to the condition that we all live. And the book I'm going to talk about is actually a kid's book, to be fair. It's a brilliant series by DJ McCall. It's called the Pendragon series. But more specifically, the one I'm going to talk about is the Quillen Games. Because in the Quillen Games, there is this company called Block, literally BLOK, I believe. And it has a lot of similarities with a company we all know, I think. I think so anyway. I think in the book they become successful in a very different way than a lot of companies do in reality, but I think the end result is very similar to what we see today with the absorption of the market by the same company that I'm talking about, which I will not name. You should read the book, and I'm sure you'll see the parallelism between the two. But anyway, in the book, this company was originally a very, very small company in this alternate world, and they managed to stay in business by being very cheap, providing products for the consumer at a almost negative price point for them. So much so that they started to push everyone else out of business, essentially. You know, they're like, why would we go shop there when we can shop here for far less? And it seemed like a very good thing at the time. And I can imagine being a citizen of that place and being the one that goes to shop there just because of the price point. But it has this snowball effect in the market where all of a sudden this company is pushing every other company out of business because their profit margins are so low that other places just can't compete. They cannot lower their prices to a point to stay competitive with this company called Block. And slowly over time, they completely eliminate all competition in the world. And now, essentially, this company Block has a monopoly on literally the entire market of everything. They are the market. Okay? There is no other company anymore. I don't know exactly how long it took in the chronology of events for this to happen. I'm not sure that the book even covers that. However, as this happens, things obviously start to go south, right? Because now they're price fixing everything to cost certain amounts, and without competition or the ability to compete in like there is no way to even compete now, because essentially they run the government, they write the laws, and at that point it basically there is no way to make another business. They own the planet essentially, and it devolves into this very dystopian society in which everyone works for the same company, and I would relate them to something akin to slaves. Not everyone is probably suffering at the magnitude that 90% are, but not, again, 90% are. They have these things in the book. They're essentially all over the place. They're like gambling centers. So you can gamble your life away essentially to this with this company to have a little bit extra to feed your family or whatever else. However, if you go into debt, which you're going to likely, with Block, who essentially runs the planet, like I said, so it's, you know what I mean, you're essentially an indentured servant rolling the dice for a shot to feed your family, and if you lose, you go to these essentially work camps for, I think in the book what it was is they produce power for the planet essentially, but they're like nuclear, some kind of nuclear energy thing in this on this planet. It's a little hazy, and again, it's, you know, this is alternate reality essentially on another planet, so it's hard to explain in a non-convoluted way. So essentially, you go to these places to die. You get no, obviously, you get no PPE because they don't care about that. This company runs everything. So why would they put safeguards that cost money into place for essentially slaves? And yeah, then they also have another quite dystopian thing. One of the things you can bet on actually is this essentially Circus Maximov, which is called the Quillen Games, where people are chosen at random in society without choice, mind you. They just get, so I think sometimes you can like volunteer, kind of like Hunger Games style, but most people are chosen randomly by chance or due to debt obligations. They could go there versus the reactors or whatever. And these people play these gladiator style techno gladiator events where they either fight against a particularly dangerous system, like a laser hopping across platforms to put rings in hoop, you know, game stuff with technology that's deadly. Or they literally fight to the death in other bizarre Tron-like experiences. It's incredibly provocative for a kid's book, I think. I believe that it is, if it weren't the 7th book, I'd be like, go pick up that book right now and read it. But you'd have to be kind of invested in the story. But I do highly recommend it. It's like one of the best children's book series I ever read. Like, Harry Potter's, you know, whatever, good and popular and everything else. Like, don't get me wrong, Hunger Games is good and popular, whatever else, right? But the Pendragon series, phenomenal start to finish. Don't know how the guy does it. The only reason there isn't a movie is because he refuses to let them make a movie because he's afraid they'll make it bad. So, but anyway, yeah, I think that this is a very, you can take a lot from the book, the parallelisms from it, and then look at the current climate we have with monopolies and kind of relate the possibilities in the book to reality. And I think you can do that with lots of works of fiction. And it is very good to be thoughtful about these things. And I think writers and artists and just creative people in general are the best geared to spot the potentiality. There's a reason for a long time people were all on that, oh, it's the whole world is just the Matrix, you got to get out of the Matrix thing. I think there is lots of there's lots of reasoning behind why people were like thinking like that, because they saw the parallelisms between the fictitious thing and then the reality we live in coming together and seeing some similarities, right? I cannot recommend more highly to just you could just read the seventh book. Just read it. You'll love it. It's great. Have your kids read the books. It's like a 6th grade level maybe. Anyway, I digress. I think that the state of the world right now, connecting it to the whole story, where we have all these massive monopolies essentially controlling how we spend and how politicians behave in office, how countries interact with one another, is a slippery slope, and I know everyone realizes this, and people try and do stuff about it sometimes, but not enough is done about it really, to the point where it actually matters. It's not like, it's like you can poison the water supply and give hundreds of thousand people cancer, and then your stock can go up after you win the lawsuit, right? You know, like that just makes sense to us. That just is like the norm, I think, for us. And it's not even like these companies, detachment, sorry, it's not people, it's the companies. These companies are like undercutting each other and their prices like the company in block is. So we don't even have like this momentary reprieve of super low prices provided by this hyper competitive company trying to push everyone out. We don't. We have these monopolies working together to conspire to squeeze everyone as much as they can of what they have and essentially hire indentured servants to work at their companies. And I don't know. I think that a lot of people have been noticing those trends for a while, and we should do something about it probably. I don't know what it is about me and why I care so much about monopolization of free enterprise, but for some reason I do. And I think everyone should. And I would love to hear your view on the whole monopolization of everything, it seems like, in the comments. And if you've read the book, also leave a comment, be like, oh, I loved it, I hated it. I think it's a really hard book not to like, or book series not to like. So maybe I'm biased. I'm probably biased anyway. But again, yeah, that's the Pendragon series. The first one is, God, The Merchant of Death, I think. The books are pretty big, and then they get bigger as you go. I think the last 5 or 6 of them are like 500 plus pages. Anyway, yeah, go read them. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Take it easy, everybody.